250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks.
They just go with the flow. It's the Herschy and Keegs show.
Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
And welcome to the Herschy and the Keegs show. I, of course, am Herschy, Mark Hirschman. I am here with my dear friend, producer, Tony Walker. You might notice the seat to my left is a little empty tonight. We have the Keegs not here tonight. Keegs landed a last-minute humongous gig out of town. Keegs is not going to be here, but we are going to be joined by our very esteemed guest, legendary journalist Jeff Pearlman. Tony and I just saw him in the hall about 2 seconds ago. So with no further ado, we're not going to waste this man's time. We're going to bring Jeff Pearlman on. Hello, Jeff Pearlman. Nice to meet you. How are you, sir?
I feel like when you call someone a legend, you're basically saying old. I feel like that's what I'm hearing.
I don't know. Old. I mean, I'm a year older than you, so I guess I can say that.
I'd say you are the legend.
I am Mark the Legend. That's what when I call you on my cell phone, that's what comes up.
Don't pump them up.
Don't pump me up is right. I want to take care of a couple of pieces of housekeeping business for our listeners who are wondering how the hell did Herschy nab Jeff Pearlman. I'm going to give you guys a little backstory. So back in 1990, Jeff Pearlman graduated from Mahopac High School with a girl named Tony Ann Bleeker. Fast forward to 1992 or so, and I was an English major and a journalism minor at Stony Brook University, and I had a classmate named Tony Ann Bleecker who went on to become very good friends with a girl named Stacy Small, and a sorority sister with Stacy Small, who 30 years later is my wife and mother of three of my children, or all of my children, not three of them. So that's the connection there. So welcome, Jeff. We're really happy to have you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
It is a small world, and I will tell you that when I was this probably I wouldn't even be here maybe except for Tony Ann, because when I was a senior at Mahopac High School, I was sports editor of the student newspaper and pretty much a loser in every respect.
She told me this story, and I'm so glad you're going to tell. She told me it this morning, so I'm so happy you're going to tell it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I, kind of a loser, never kissed a girl, didn't even have a girlfriend, wasn't invited to parties, the whole thing. But I was sports editor. I mean, I don't want to brag. Sports editor of the Mahopac High School Chieftain.
Yeah.
And I did a story called "Cheerleading, Sport or Activity?" with a question mark. And I determined in my article that cheerleading was indeed an activity and not a sport. And when the newspaper came out, the big Chieftain came out, the monthly printing, the cheerleaders are not happy. And Tony Ann may not have, well, she probably did tell you, she was a Mahopac High School cheerleader.
Oh, I know she was, sure.
And a high level one, a very talented cheerleader.
Yeah.
And she, her and her fellow cheerleaders were very angry about this article, and they surrounded me in the lunchroom. And I'm pretty sure it was like a football day, because I recall them all in their like uniforms, hair done, and I'm just me, and all these cheerleaders are surrounding me, yelling at me. But to me, it's like they see me. Oh my God, they see me. This is amazing. And because of that, I can't say because of that, but it certainly was an early display for me. The power of the pen will get cheerleaders mad at you, including the very beautiful, very lovely, very smart, and very successful in life, Tony Ann Bleecker.
Yeah, so there you go. So I'm curious, and I had a conversation with a close friend of mine, my neighbor and friend Suzanne Galina, who is the mother of a very competitive cheerleader, and I know that the commitment that goes into it nowadays, and they go on Texas and Baltimore and all over the country. Has your stance on cheerleading changed since 1990?
So it wasn't about cheerleading. It was about Mahopac High School cheerleading at the time. I think Tony Ann would tell you as well. They were basically sideline.
Side cheer. Okay, that
they weren't doing flips, and of course, competitive cheerleading nowadays is certainly a sport, but back then it was just stand on the sidelines.
All right,
tell you that.
All right. Okay, I got you. So I was prepared to tell you my opinion of why I think it is a sport, but it's clear that you totally agree. Listen, I've been doing preparation for this. I've wanted you to come on the show for a long time, and you're as busy as a guy there is. So I can talk for about 4 hours of questions, but I'll keep you to a lot less than that. Certainly, when I reached out to friends and posted it on our social media, the common sports fan that I'm friends with, it's like, wait a second, that's the John Rocker dude. Now, I'm curious, do you find that even today, after 11 books and your social media fame and all your articles and SI and so forth, do you still find that the common sports fan connects you to the John Rocker thing more than anything at this point?
That's an interesting question. I think it depends on age a little bit, how old someone is.
Yeah.
Whether they were around for it, whether they were based out of New York, whether they were either a Mets or a Braves fan, and whether they were into baseball. I think mostly no at this point.
Yeah.
In fact, it's interesting because through the years, whenever you do this job, you speak to different journalism classes, college, high school journalism classes. And I remember whatever that happened at the end of 1999. So you talk to a class in 2000, everyone knows who John Rocker is. You talk to a class in 2002, everyone still knows. But as the years pass, and it made me happy, fewer and fewer people knew who John Rocker was.
Yeah.
And today, if I speak to a class, I have to tell the story and say, there was once this baseball player named John Rocker. He was kind of an asshole, blah, 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 blah.
Ask your parents about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask your parents about him.
Yeah.
He's significant. He's culturally insignificant and irrelevant. I mean, he's literally on Twitter, and his big stance is that Michelle Obama is really a man. I'm not even joking.
I know. We see that, yeah.
So, he's the irony of it all, in a lot of ways, is I wrote about a famous baseball player, and I'm probably better known than he is at this point, which isn't saying that much, but I'm just saying he's kind of been forgotten to history. as just yet another baseball player and an asshole.
And a pretty bad guy. And I'm sure
Very.
you know that he did resurface maybe a year ago with that potentially doctored up video of Patrick Mahomes' dad, the former baseball player.
Yeah.
And it was just so like pathetic and just disgusting, kind of like he was back in the day. And again, I don't know if he's changed or not, but I'm guessing he probably hasn't very much.
The thing I find interesting is through the years, he really devoted a lot of time to saying that I misrepresented him, I misquoted him, etc. I baited him on and on. And the irony is he's done nothing to support that. If anything, he's shown over and over again that my depiction of him was very accurate.
That's
and
right.
Yeah.
in fact, in a triple irony, he wouldn't be, if he hadn't said those things to me, he would just be, I mean, when's the last time we talked about Braden Looper or Kerry Lightenberg or Steve Carsey? Like he would just be another forgotten 90s baseball player. The only reason anyone remembers him is because of that article.
That's
so
right.
if anything, that guy should be paying me 10% of whatever he
Absolutely.
makes at the local clan meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can sign.
Absolutely. There's two other quick things before we tackle some sports stuff. Number one, I wanted to wish you lots of mazel, and I loved the video the other day. Mazel tov to your brother, David, I believe his name is, who got
thank you.
married recently.
Correct.
And I certainly love the poignancy of your talk about your brother being a quiet guy, now 55 years old, found from what sounds like an incredible woman that he's going to spend the rest of his life with. And it was really certainly a different video than that you usually post. And I found it to be very touching. And I wanted to make sure I brought it up and wish you and your family well on that. That's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Actually, it's interesting because you mentioned Mahopac earlier. Obviously, my brother and I grew up in Mahopac, and my brother has Asperger's, which is a mild, very mild form, highly functioning form of autism.
Yeah.
It's not even a diagnosis anymore. But
Right. Yeah.
when we were growing up, my brother, there was no diagnosis, and my brother was, had a very, very difficult childhood, was made fun of repeatedly, wasn't athletic, etc. And so I didn't bring that up in the video, but it gives me extra joy, satisfaction, happiness to see that he's living his best life at age 55. Like he's never had a better life. So thank you.
That's fantastic. And, so you're 53, your brother's 55, I'm 54. So we're right in that same wheelhouse. And one of the things that in my production meeting with Tony Ann this morning, that she cracked me up because she said something about you that you used to say about yourself. Maybe you still do. And I've been saying it for literally 40 something years, is that where I grew up in Valley Stream, Long Island, which is like the Nassau County Queens border, I was literally the only little Jewish kid in a town filled with Irish and Italian kids. And Tony Ann said, well, that's what Jeff used to say about himself. So can you touch on that a little bit? Because that really intrigued the hell out of me.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, Tony Ann is just a gem. She really
Yeah,
is.
she's the best.
She is. So Tony Ann and I, we both graduated in 1990, Mahopac High School. My class had 2 black students in it. In fact, interestingly, again, how things like coming back to cheerleading, my recent book, which I don't care if we talk about at all, but about Tupac.
Oh, we are, yeah.
The big influence for me was my best friend was one of the 2 black kids, and it's like a cliche, small town cliche, John Powell. And John Powell really got me into hip hop, Public Enemy, Heavy D and the Boys, etc.
Yeah.
During a period where people like Tony Ann and my other classmates were listening to Aerosmith and Whitesnake and not Run DMC and whatever, Bon Jovi. So we had 2 black kids, and we probably had 6 Jewish kids in my grade, maybe 5. And I remember being like, I'm not going to cry like, oh, it was awful, but like, you did definitely hear, cheap Jew. You had people, I remember people throwing pennies at me and my brother.
Oh my God, absolutely.
The main thing I think that it's interesting, I've changed as I've gotten older, but the main thing that I remember, and maybe you went through this too, is I hated Christmas with a passion.
Hated Christmas with a burning, living hell. That's why I married a goy. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
I did not. But yeah, it sucked. It absolutely sucked. I hated it. I resented it.
Yeah.
I resented my peers who celebrated Christmas and bragged about all the gifts they got. I just absolutely loathed it. But at the time, there just wasn't very much to do on Christmas.
Nope.
Especially in a small town. We had a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go.
Movie theater, Chinese restaurant.
was just the loneliest day of the year. So
Yeah.
maybe I became a militant Jew.
That's
during
right.
that time of year.
It's funny. So you'll love this. My synagogue where I went to Hebrew school and through my teen years was actually you had to walk basically coming home from my elementary school. You had to walk past the synagogue, and I would go 2 days a week to Hebrew school right after elementary. So you can imagine when I'm outside and they let us play outside, and I have my kippah on, my yarmulke on. Look at her; she's wearing his beanie. So these are some of my closest friends 40 years later, by the way. But still, I took a lot of it.
Since you guys are here, can I tell the tragic story of my bar mitzvah?
I'd love to hear it, please.
Okay. Obviously, in 1985.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to brag, but my bar mitzvah was at the Mount Kisco Holiday Inn.
Yes, it was. Yeah, of course.
Thug life, as Tupac would say.
Yeah.
Thug life.
Yeah.
And, okay. When you're a 13-year-old boy, you don't know shit. Like, you don't know what's right, what's wrong. You don't know anything. You don't know social norms. You have nothing.
Don't know it at 55 either.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Fair point. But I definitely didn't know. Okay. So my parents planned a bar mitzvah, and there were going to be 3 elements to the bar mitzvah. There's going to be the service, which actually was held in a room at the Mount Kisco Holiday Inn for convenience.
Yep.
Rabbi and the whole thing. Okay.
Reading your Haftorah that you remembered and studied. Yep.
Correct. I did. That had to sing. I sang, All right. Service, bar mitzvah in the Mount Kisco Holiday Inn. Then there were 2 parts that followed. There was a cocktail reception in like a bar area with a string quartet.
So
Very nice. My dad found them.
Would you say that was the kiddish portion, basically, like the kind of sorta?
No, I wouldn't actually.
Okay.
I would say it was it was like the warm up act.
Okay.
The big show.
Yeah, like a little like a cocktail hour at a wedding or something like that. Yeah.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's the big party in the ballroom, right?
Yeah.
With the band and the party favors, which are baseball hats and all that stuff.
Of course.
So my mom, who I love and who hates this story with a passion, but I don't care. We had basically A-listers and B-listers. The A-listers were invited to the cocktail hour and then the main party.
Sure.
The B-listers were only invited to the cocktail hour. However, the B-listers didn't know they were B-listers until everyone else went to the big party and they had to go home. So they're watching all these people go to my big event and they're like, wait, what? And I always remember Jimmy McDonald, a kid, being like to his mom, wait, so we don't get to go to it, blah, blah. And the interesting thing is, in hindsight, I really think much of it was divided by Jewish, not Jewish.
Yeah.
Like, I think all the Jews from the synagogue come to the big party. But like my best friend, Gary Miller, next door, my other best friend, Dennis Gargano, 2 stores up, they all have to go home. They are not invited to the big event. And for years and years, I've maintained to my mom, this is one of the most tasteless things of all time. She does not agree with me.
This is, and I have a lifetime of Jewish stories. This may take the cake, though.
Well, what are we talking about? So is that the case? If you're not Jewish, you weren't allowed
No,
to
this
go?
was the case for the Perlman family.
Oh, this was
it
just your mom saying they can't come because
Yeah.
they're not Jewish. Oh, okay.
It wasn't even, I don't think she consciously thought Jew, not Jew,
Yeah.
Jew, not Jew. I
Yeah.
think she thought, these are the people from the synagogue. We're going to invite them all. But like, the weird thing is like, Gary Miller, my neighbor, his mom helped raise me. Like I was at their house all the time.
That's right.
B-list.
Yeah.
Mrs. Schwartz, A-list. It's just weird.
So I fortunately, I'm still very close friends with a lot of the people that were at my bar mitzvah. Some of them are listening right now. And if I didn't have shiksas and goy, I would have had about 7 people at my bar mitzvah. So I would not have been able to do that. But I'm sure your mother is a dear, lovely woman. But she may have erred there.
Also, by the way, why was I not invited to your bar mitzvah? A little hurtful in hindsight. All these years later, I've been wondering.
Yeah. Oh, well, you definitely would have been. And I had video games, and my bar mitzvah was at a place called Monty's, which was a very big bar mitzvah hall. And for a family with not a lot of money, we managed to scrounge up enough money to put together a pretty kick-ass party. And I still have a I Survived Mark's Bar Mitzvah T-shirt that sits in my dresser drawer. I know, Tony, you think that's bizarre, but
I need a shirt that says "I survived you tonight." That's what I need.
We'll say
it sounds like you were in a way the midsection of the bar mitzvah I had and the current bar mitzvah where they're throwing out like Jackson Dart jerseys to kids in the crowd.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. We can talk about bar mitzvahs and haftorahs all night, but I have so much more to talk about. Certainly, what I do want to start on, because being a hip hop fan myself, your most recent book is the Tupac book. I think the thing that really fascinated me the most was when I heard that you interviewed 652 people. I can't wrap my brain around that. I guess I need to know how long it took you to put this masterpiece together, but please touch on that 652 number, Jeff.
So to me, okay, it's kind of like this. I am not a hip hop writer. I am not of hip hop, right? I'm an outsider to much of the communities I'm writing about. I'm all aware of that, right? So what are the things I can control? I can control how hard I work, and I can control the number of people I try to talk to. Like, those are two things I can control. They're all in my control.
Yeah.
I may not be the best writer. I may not even be the best writer to do this book. In fact, I'm most certainly not the best writer to do this book in a lot of measures. But I can bust my ass. So it was about 2.5 years. I mean, it's 3 years total for the book. Over 2.5 years, all I did was dig, research, and just call people, visit people, fly places, drive places. I live in Southern California. I probably drove to Northern California, which is about an 8-hour trek, 7 times, sometimes just to knock on a door or interview people or whatever. Like, I was all about finding people. Like, that is, because you can control it. You can always, I would say that to any young journalist, like, there are always going to be better writers. I've been doing this for 30 years. There are far better writers than me. There are always going to be people who have better connections. There are always going to be people who have this advantage and that advantage. You can always control how hard you work, you know?
Yeah, you're absolutely a hustler, and again, when I heard that number, I was blown away. And certainly, what I also found intriguing to me was that when you look at the roster of your books that you've written, you just don't pick an athlete because they're a great athlete. You pick very often athletes that careers have been shrouded in a little controversy. So you did a book about Clemens and a book about Bonds, and is that just your personality where you're just not satisfied to say, I'm going to do a book about Jeter or someone who's kind of, a soft character like that? Tell me a little bit about your take on that.
Well, I think it's harder. Like, a good friend of mine who's been in the business a long time is Ian O'Connor. He wrote a really good Aaron Rodgers book. He wrote a really good Derek Jeter book. And he did a great job with Jeter. So this is not dogging him at all. He's a star. For me, it would be hard to dive into Jeter because he just seems to have lived a really bland life.
That's
now,
right.
The thing is, in a way, that's an indictment of my own approach, because nobody's really lived a bland life. And Clemens was not really a satisfying experience for me. Like, I just found him not that interesting, kind of a dunderhead, kind of a jackass, like, not that fascinating. But he happened to have an older brother who was his hero, who was a hardcore heroin addict, I believe he was heroin addict. Well, that's a really fascinating part of his life. And it's about finding these little people and finding the things that are interesting. So everyone has something interesting to write about. That is a fact. It's undeniable. It could be the garbage man, it could be your doctor, it could be Derek Jeter. I'm a big fan of, I guess, like, complicated characters, multidimensional characters, people who are both iconic but also misunderstood, people who sort of have opened up, but you feel like there's stuff they haven't opened up about.
Yeah.
I mean, Walter Payton, in a way, is the best example from my career. Like, everyone thought they knew everything about Walter Payton. Walter Payton, he's sweetness. He's the greatest guy ever. He's awesome. And you start reading about him and you realize he actually is awesome. But in a way, what makes someone awesome are all the difficulties he had and all the hardships he had and the mistakes he made, like the warts. The warts are what make it interesting.
Oh, the adultery, the fact that his last few years were shrouded in terrible sickness and depression.
But
and,
it doesn't make him a bad guy. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. That is the biggest thing I've learned in my career.
Yeah.
I'm being serious about that. I really mean this. Like, Tupac, super complicated. Went to prison for sexual battery. I found, as you probably saw, like, I found this rape accusation against him, right? The weird thing that goes into all of this, and it's almost hard to explain when you talk to people, and it makes you sound kind of like an asshole, is people are so complicated and so multifaceted that even someone who is a murderer still sometimes bends down to smell a rose.
That's right.
Like, there's still goodness in people, even if they commit awful acts.
That's right.
And like part of this job is finding the good in people and trying to make sense of the awful acts as well.
And I think also, I'm glad you touched on it, that human nature is that we definitely, as a humanity, seem to like the negative. We like reading about it. Like myself and my partner, we're stand-up comics. We have a lot of comics and actors on the show. About a month ago, we had Tom Arnold on, and we were really anticipating asking Tom a million and one things, yet maybe the last 20 minutes of the show was him talking about his sister, who was the largest drug dealer in the history of Iowa, spent 27 years in federal prison. He did a documentary about her, and we were so riveted about that when we could have been talking about True Lies and Roseanne, and we did talk about that somewhat, but sometimes the controversy is really the appeal that you want to talk about, for sure.
Trivia question. Why did I interview Tom Arnold for my Tupac book?
You know what?
It's okay if you don't know.
I don't know. Tell me. I don't know.
He was the host of SNL when Tupac was a musical
Oh,
artist.
geez, that's right. Wow. That's right. We didn't talk
And he
about
told
that.
me a great story, actually. He
Yeah.
said at the after party, Suge Knight was there, the infamous Suge Knight.
Yep.
And he was there with Tupac, and Suge Knight goes, Tom Arnold, what's going on? And Tom Arnold's like, hey, Suge. And Suge goes, where's Roseanne? And Tom Arnold goes, she's in the trunk of my car. And he said that Suge Knight, who laughed at almost nothing, found that very funny.
That's amazing.
I got to speak to Tom Arnold. Which is
So Tom's
nice
a super guy. He spent an hour with us, and then that following weekend, he was right here at our home club, Governor's Comedy Club, where we're in the studio in the back of the club right now. But Tom was here headlining that weekend, and I got to spend a few minutes with him, as did Tony. And he sought us out. He wanted to spend time with us. He had such a good time on our show. He's a super terrific guy, but really has lived an incredibly fascinating life. The Tupac part is just a kind of a cherry on the sundae. Yeah, but he totally fascinating.
So the next book is a Tom Arnold book.
He might do a Tom Arnold book. It's not impossible.
I don't know if it sells, but I don't know the idea.
There's so many things that your life has taken a different turn over the years. Obviously, I'm sure that you didn't expect 10 years ago, whatever it is, that your social media presence would become what it has been. But obviously, you have multiple 100,000 followers on TikTok and certainly a ton on YouTube. Are you caught off guard by this? Did you expect this? How do you feel about your new life as a social media darling?
I don't know. I mean, it's weird. It's like, you may have heard me talk about this. The only reason I joined TikTok, is about a year and 10 months ago, a bunch of journalists were laid off. And this is when I was on Twitter. I've left Twitter. It's just too cesspool-y, but I was on Twitter. Yeah. And a bunch of journalists were laid off. And I did a couple of tweets just at what my advice would be to young journalists who have recently lost their jobs. And there's a sports website called The Defector, which is it's all the Deadspin guys. They have a new site, right? Which I respect, actually.
Yeah.
And the editor of The Defector, Tom Lee? Something Lee. Anyway, wrote a piece about me and basically slamming me, saying, why would you take any advice from this dinosaur about social media? And he mentioned TikTok. And I said to my son, you know what, I'm going to try TikTok. This isn't even 2 years ago. I'm going to try TikTok. My son Emmett, he's in college now. He's like, don't do it. And I was like, no, I want to do it. He's like, don't do it. I was like, no, I want to do it. He's like, all right, two things, no politics and no filters. And I was like, I can promise I won't do filters. So I jump on TikTok and I really I don't know, 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, 5, 10, I have 330,000 followers on this stupid app, right? Just from telling stories. It's actually a really good storytelling medium. And that led to me getting an offer to have this YouTube show, Pressbox Chronicles. So the irony of this guy saying, don't listen to this old man, and this old man winds up jumping on the app, being, kind of a huge success on the app, I think, and winding up with his own YouTube show because of the app, all because this guy said, don't listen to this guy. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's all stupid anyway. It's all dumb.
Well, it's not, and really, you're a terrific storyteller, and what you're doing for fans like myself who are diehard junkie sports fans is you're kind of reliving some of our past life, and talking about Dave Kingman, for example.
What a great video that was.
Yeah, the Kingman video. I mean, obviously, I think, and as you mentioned at one point, Kingman is a 70-something-year-old man. Maybe he's docile and calm, but he's still the guy who sent a rat to a female reporter 40-something years ago, and that makes you, at the time at least, a piece of shit. And the truth is, you told the story so succinctly and eloquently that a lot of people probably didn't know it. So you're also opening up the eyes of newer fans, too, who are definitely catching on to what you're doing there. No doubt about it.
Well, I'm sure I'm like you guys. Like, to me, there are a couple of things that just spark nostalgia in major, major ways. Food is one of them.
Yep.
Music is another one. If you hear an old Hall & Oates song or you hear an old Tupac song and you picture where you were at that time,
Absolutely.
And the other one is sports nostalgia. And like remembering, looking back at Dave Kingman, or like this week's video is about John Jefferson of the Chargers. And I remember being a kid and thinking how cool John Jefferson looked in his goggles, like as a Charger receiver. Like I love stuff like that. So to me, the show, it's number one, an acknowledgement that I'm no spring chicken. Like I'm in my 50s. I'm not a young sports fan anymore.
Yeah.
But number two, there are a lot of us who just look back at sports and have this real fond memory of watching the baseball bunch, or here's watching Gary Carter and Keith Hernandez and Gooden and Mattingly and Winfield, like whatever it is, it all sparks something. And you can, even if it's for a moment, you can feel like you're 12 again or 15 again. And there's something really remarkable in that. So,
yeah.
But I think there's something to be said about you, though, because the way you tell the stories, and I think it's great you brought up Kingman, because that's my personal favorite one so far. But you tell these stories in such an engaging and funny way that a young guy who might never heard of Dave Kingman will get kind of roped in, because you're very good and you're very open and honest that you don't get from a lot of writers.
That's right.
No, I appreciate that. It's all fun. That's the thing. All right, here's the thing I'm actually being sincere about. Like, the show is sponsored and all this stuff, and but like, this isn't going to sound right, but I was trying to say it the right way. I don't really give a shit. Like, I'm pretty comfortable in my life. I've had a good career writing books. I've had a good journalism career. I'm not doing it for Q rating. Like, I don't care. I don't need to be famous. I don't need to be recognized. Like, it's fun telling sports stories. And I think when you're not trying to make a buck on everything, it comes off as kind of refreshing. And that's just what it is. I'm not trying to make a buck. I don't care. If you don't buy my book, it's all good. If you don't subscribe, it's all good. I just like telling the stories.
You're just a storyteller. And I think just to put a little bow on the Kingman, so this doesn't turn into a Kingman bashing session, but the fact that this was a man who, I believe it was 1976, played on 4 different teams. Okay. He was on Cubs, Yankees, Mets, and one other team. Like, this was not a well-liked man. Right. And I think that year he might have hit 42 homers and 90. I mean, obviously only hit 210 most years, but he was a monster, and he was obviously a low quality guy, and hopefully for his sake he's changed. Right.
I mean, our fellow Jew Sean Green is a friend of mine. Dodger, Sean Green.
Yep. Dodgers.
And I always quote Sean now because he always comes and speaks to my journalism class. I love Sean is one of the nicest guys out there, and he was always nice as a ball player. Like, I covered him. He was easy. But he said to me, like, he's like, you know what? We all get nicer after we're done playing. Yeah. And I would be shocked if Dave Kingman is still sending rats to, like, the woman working at the post office.
But how fucking cool would it be if he was?
True.
Well, after that video, you didn't get one, so maybe he has gotten nicer.
Exactly.
It's so funny though, and I always think about this. I told you, we talked about this through text, but we had Kenny Anderson on a couple of weeks ago, and he was amazing. And I was thinking to myself, like, is this the Kenny Anderson that I literally knew who Kenny Anderson was when he was a freshman at Malloy, because my childhood best friend Chris Bruno was in his homeroom class, so I knew who he was, and I followed him through Georgia Tech and Bobby Cremins, and then second draft pick for the Nets, and I'm talking to him. I'm like, this seems like the chillest, down to earth, super dude, and I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if he was that cool back in the day, Yeah,
I actually don't know.
Yeah,
probably not though.
Yeah,
I just think fame warps everybody a little bit. You know, even like mild fame. I do want to say Kenny Anderson to me symbolizes I mean, the New York point guard is like my favorite species of all time.
Dude, Pearl, God, Sham
Pearl's
God.
my favorite basketball player
Yeah,
ever. He's
absolutely.
my favorite player ever.
Yeah.
Kenny Anderson, if you look at Kenny Anderson in a way is like there are certain athletes, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley are the two who come to mind to me, where you try explaining to kids now, if you show them a cutout of Larry Bird and Charles Barkley, kids would be like, no, those guys didn't play. Those guys weren't playing. But Kenny Anderson probably weighed $105.
Yeah.
He had an awful jump shot that he shot like this.
Lefty, bad jump shot.
He was so tiny and scrawny, but he was kind of magical. So
Kenny Anderson, we were talking about this, and obviously, Rod Strickland, Mark Jackson, God Shamgod, Pearl. I mean, like these were unbelievable hoopsters. But and Kenny loved when I brought up the viral video of him literally breaking Bobby Hurley's ankles. And he loved it. I mean, but he was, to me, not just because he was on my show, but he was definitely the best ball handler I ever saw play live. I mean, he was ridiculous with his handles, out of control. Yeah.
The funny thing about that Hurley video is Hurley actually isn't playing terrible defense on Kenny.
No, not at all.
He stays in front of him. Not bad defense.
No, he's not jumping. He's nothing like that. Absolutely. There's so many things. Like I said, I feel like I want to get so many things out. One of the things that I loved, because it pissed me the hell off, was this postseason and postseasons in recent years. A-Rod, Poppy, Jeter, the vanilla bullshit that these guys are doing in their interviews. And I'll tell you why. As a diehard Yankee fan, as a Jew with tattoos, Yankees all over my body, I can't even for a second fathom Carlton Fisk sitting with Thurman Munson or George Brett sitting with Greg Nettles. Like, these guys are sitting around there like they're best friends. It makes me fucking nuts. And I know they're retired, and that's all fine, but it's just not right. I mean, do you think I'm off base on that, Jeff?
I actually, I saw an interview with George Brett not that long ago, and he was talking about how him and Nettles actually got along pretty well, and that, the skirmish in third was kind of a thing. I'm kind of curious, if you guys had to rank the three of those worst to best, just as far as announcers, how would you do it?
Jeter's definitely the worst. There's no question about it. He's fucking terrible. Yeah. Jeter's horrible. I would say, A-Rod is by far, he's an incredibly intelligent guy who understands the game and hitting almost better than anyone I've ever heard talk about, but he doesn't talk about that enough when he's interviewing players. And Poppy, for me, it's tough because, I'm a diehard Yankee fan. I think Poppy's in the middle, but Jeter's the worst. No question about it.
See, I find A-Rod so insincere. Like, so.
Oh, yeah. He's a fraud. There's no doubt about it. Yep. Yeah.
I just can't. I was watching some of the documentary, the multi-part documentary.
Oh, God, me too. Disgusting.
He's just... I almost feel like it's not his own fault. Like, something was broken when he was raised.
Yeah.
That made him this, weird creature with zero sincerity. So, Jeter's boring, but I think at least he's probably honest. I don't believe anything A-Rod says about anything ever. So I find him really... I don't mind guys from opposing teams. I mean, I think back, Monday Night Football, you'd have Frank Gifford and O.J. Simpson and Joe Namath and O.J. Simpson were on Jets, Bills. They did it. I don't mind that so much. I just think they suck. And I think you take the three of us, put us in the booth, and none of us played Major League Baseball, at least that I know of. And we would give better insight. I'm actually being serious.
I agree.
We would give better insight than those three do. It's brutal.
I totally agree. Speaking of insincere, and it's so funny how you often, to me, you're like the voice of the people when it comes to sports guys in their 50s. But I've been totally fixated and livid about this disgustingness going on in Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. And the quote that got me, which I think you referenced at some point, I talked to God and he told me it's time to take a new step. I mean, that's a pet peeve of mine, and I'm not nearly as religious as I used to be. I'm more of a spiritual guy, but I respect people who love God, and that's fine. But for this swine to go ahead and say that it was God that made him leave for 7 years and $90 million is offensive to me, categorically offensive, and I think I'm almost positive you agree with that.
Tony, you're not Jewish?
No.
All right, cover your ears on this, but I feel like as Jews, we know the Lane Kiffin can't be telling the truth because we know the real God.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
We know we got the secret.
Yeah. Shema, yes, yeah, exactly.
It's like that. I don't know if you ever saw the South Park episode where God gathers everyone and he says the answer is I forgot what it was.
Yeah,
Jehovah's Witness.
That's right. That's right.
They're all just used car salesmen. That's the thing. They're all used car salesmen, and it's interesting because people say college sports are broken, and I agree. College sports are broken.
Yeah.
But it might be broken with no actual way to fix it, because if Lane Kiffin can get $12 million, leave, coach somewhere else the next year, why shouldn't the starting center at Ole Miss be able to go to Kentucky next year and make more money?
Yeah.
It sucks for sports. It sucks. I'm a Delaware grad. Delaware will never have a really good basketball program again, at least as long as the system exists, because every time they develop a player, he leaves for a better program.
That's right.
It doesn't work. But it's almost like tough shit. You guys just created the system. It's never going to be good. You fucked it all up. Such is life. And Lane Kiffin is the exhibit A of that situation.
I want to touch on what you talked about the system, but how? And I know they're ranked number 6 now. The postseason rankings came out. Ole Miss is ranked number 6. But can we just talk for a second about what an incredibly, unbelievably awesome story it would be if Ole Miss runs the table and wins the championship without Lane Kiffin as their coach? What do you think? I mean, that would just be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something you're not going to like.
Okay.
I never watch college football.
Okay, that's fine.
Never. I couldn't name one player on any of these teams. Literally could not.
No, that doesn't bother me.
Bo Jackson starting a running back for somebody, and I thought
Auburn,
cool.
yeah.
No, not Auburn. There's a Bo Jackson now in college football. It's really good. Michigan, maybe.
Sorry. Okay,
State.
I thought you meant
Ohio State. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
Let's go back to Dave
I don't know
Kingman.
shit about shit. I'm sure it sounds good. I guess it's cool. But I don't even care. I don't care. I hate college football unless it's Delaware.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, the Mud Hens are Blue Hens.
Blue
right.
Hen-
Yeah. Blue Hens. Sorry. But
You're doing so well.
Forget about knowing the players. Don't you think it would be a cool thing that Lane Kiffin, who is 50-something years old, been chasing a championship as obviously as head coach, that they went ahead and won it without him? That's what I'm saying.
I know, but he'd still get credit as the guy who coached him during the regular season.
Yeah, but he still wouldn't be the one who's there holding up the trophy. And the interesting thing is that the AD let Charlie Weiss come back and coach. He's going to be the offensive coordinator, and they're not letting Kiffin back, which gives me incredible joy. Just because of the smugness, and he's there with that guy Marty Evans on the runway, and he's talking about God, and this is what is meant to be for his family, and it's just a bunch of horseshit as far as I'm concerned.
I just want to take a moment to thank Jesus for bringing Lane Kiffin into our life.
I totally agree with that.
Big up Jesus.
I totally agree with that. And, just going back to what you said about the system. So maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, we had on, Hofstra is down the block from here. So we've had on Frank Catalanato on the show, and we had Speedy on the show, Speedy Claxton.
Oh, yeah.
And,
come on.
Yeah, and Speedy basically is in the middle of that. Hofstra as a mid-level major, he's developing players that he cannot keep because he could, but they are playing for him for a year and then going to one of the high-level, D1 schools, and that's the system. Just like you said, it's the way the system's established right now.
I just want to say it's crazy that Speedy Claxton is 47 years old. You have those moments where you're like,
yeah,
how the heck is Speedy Claxton 47 years old? That doesn't even make any sense.
It makes no sense at all. It doesn't. But
that's just insane.
But
that's
insane. I when people sometimes will say to me that how old I am, and I say 54, I don't feel 54. I don't think I look 54. I don't think you look 53. Tony, maybe, I don't know, 50 now. But no, you don't even look 55. The 50s number felt when our dads were that age years and years ago, it felt like it was an old number, and now I still feel like we can yuck it up and talk about sports and shit like that, and we're not such old guys, right? Please say yes.
I think we all justify our age wherever we're at.
That's right.
So I think you're doing that thing.
Yeah,
that we do.
I'm doing that thing. I'm doing
hey guys,
that
we
thing.
all look really good, but you get out and the person working at Taco Bell calls you sir.
That's
and
right.
Then the person who pulls your car when you had to park it calls you sir.
That's right.
Usually it's creep is the word
That's
that
right.
they use for it.
Sure. Who's also 55 is Nick Folk. Nick Folk, and are you a Jet? I mean, I know that you watch the game. Are you a Jet fan like me or no? You're just...
I am a Jet fan.
You're a Jet fan. Okay, so your video, it killed me the other day because, of course, I watch every single Jet game, and I would have bet any amount of money after that stupid-ass penalty, which made no sense at all, which is typical. Memdu had 1 million penalties. I would have bet any amount of money that he was going to miss that, and the fact that he hit that, 56-yard or whatever it was so nondescript of the Jets. I still can't even explain it, but that was the epitome of the beauty of sports, as you talked about on your show the other day.
Well, you watch every Jet game?
Every single game.
I want to ask you some quick rapid fires, okay?
Yeah.
Does Justin Fields have an NFL job next year?
He's going to be a second or third stringer, 100%. He'll be in the league. He just won't be a starter. No way.
Do we believe in Aaron Glenn as a head coach?
I don't believe in Aaron Glenn. I would pray with all my might that if Tomlin becomes available, they would throw all the money at him, but I know they're not going to. He'll be there at the start of the year because, Muji obviously has no choice, but I don't believe in Aaron Glenn. No, not at all.
Was trading Sauce Gardner wise?
Yeah, for people who are legitimate Jet fans, not NFL fans who just happen to know who Sauce Gardner is, Sauce Gardner isn't that great of a player. He's just not. He makes a lot of mistakes. He does a lot of holding penalties, PIs. So, no, I love the trade. Absolutely loved it.
And who do you want at quarterback for the Jets next year, realistically?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't want anyone that's on the roster right now. I don't want to see Tyrod Taylor. I don't want to see Justin Fields. And as far as the kid in the draft, what's his name, Fernando Mendoza, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about him. I don't preach to know enough about college football. I would like to see if they can actually draft a legitimate quarterback and grow him, and maybe trade for a guy who can actually play quarterback. Is Kirk, the guy? I'm not really sure. I don't know the answer. I really don't. What do you think about it?
Oh, man. I mean, it's the only team I care about at all. And I wouldn't even know what to do with myself if they were actually good.
Right.
They were really competitive. I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
I just think
we like being poor schlep Jet fans.
I feel bad for Tyrod Taylor because he seems like kind of a decent, classy guy.
Absolutely.
He's been around for a long time. He's certainly a very capable backup quarterback who has earned himself a job somewhere next year.
Yep.
Obviously shouldn't be starting at this point.
Nope.
I mean, it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like Cleveland with Baker Mayfield. Like, here are the Browns looking continuously for a quarterback. And they had the guy. They just screwed him up. They had the guy.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's the Jets with Darnold. Like, Sam Darnold's a good NFL quarterback.
Absolutely.
They had the guy. They screwed it up. Like, the Bills didn't get rid of Josh Allen. The Ravens didn't get rid of Lamar. Like, these two teams just screwed it up. It should have been him all along, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, the Giants didn't. They screwed up Daniel Jones, and now he's a top quarterback in the league. So, I do have faith that Muji. I do like the moves that he's making. The Jets draft should be super strong this coming year because of the vast amount of picks that they have. And I do have faith that he's not going to fuck it up. But again, I've been a Jet fan since 1970, whatever it is. So to say that I have faith that it's going to turn around is probably a ridiculous statement, honestly. But
who's your all-time favorite Jet?
Probably Altoon. I loved Altoon, big time Altoon fan. I would say more recently, I love Crabette, obviously, just because he grew up down the block from me, or obviously went to school down the block. Nowadays, it's like I don't. Oh, man. I mean, the Mangold thing was crushing. I love Mangold. I'm still waiting on my Mangold jersey that I ordered from China, DH Gate, about a month ago.
Love it.
Yeah, but still I'm waiting on that. I can tell you one guy who's probably not going to be on an NFL roster is going to be Young Ho Koo. Have you ever in your life, if you've been watching football for the same amount of time as me and Tony, have you ever seen that play happen before?
I have not.
Never.
Yeah, no, never.
A total disgrace, and I love how he keeps on saying that he pulled back because the ball was going to knuckle under.
Oh, is that what he said?
But to me, it looked like he got caught on the dirt,
right?
On the grass.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah. I don't understand how the Giants can still have him employed, but the Giants somehow are more fucked up management-wise right now than the Jets, although, of course, in typical Giant fashion, they have the young QB, they have the young back, the young wideout, so they do have some hope, and they might back ass into Mike Tomlin if he winds up leaving Pittsburgh.
I would rather be I'd rather be the Giants and the Jets just because
Yeah.
the Jets ownership is the worst and they always screw up. And
Yeah.
the Giants throwback uniforms are kind of cool. You know all that stuff.
Dude, they're so freaking cool, aren't they? Oh my
I know.
God, absolutely. The last thing, and I'm not going to keep you much longer, buddy. I appreciate your time so much, but one of the things that I love you talked about, because it's not talked about enough, little iconic times in sports. You loved Mark Fidrich the way I love Mark Fidrich. I don't know how many people realize how great this guy was for a little shot of time. Retired at the age of 25, was second in the Cy Young Award as a rookie, won the Rookie of the Year. Tell us about what inspired you to want to talk about Fidrich, how that came about, and what you feel about him.
I mean, the aforementioned Tony Ann Bleecker would know. I used to, as a kid, go to the Stormville flea market.
Okay.
Not that far from where we grew up. And when I was a kid, they used to have baseball cards and stuff like that. My mom would drag me around. It'd be hot and dusty and usually boring, but they had baseball cards. And I remember I was probably 9, and there was a stand with all these posters rolled up, 50-cent posters. And you had to unroll them, and they were old posters. And there was I unrolled one, and it was Mark the Bird Fidrich. And love that poster. I literally have it hanging in my office right now.
I love
on
it.
My wall.
I love that.
The same poster. And here, I'll walk you over to show you Bird.
Yeah, please.
And,
yeah.
And I bought it for 50 cents. I've had it for years. It was hanging in my son's room. There's the bird right there.
Dude, that is awesome. That is so neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I framed it years ago and all that. Anyway, from that experience, I really came to sort of be fascinated by the bird. I really was fascinated. They had 2 guys on those teams. They had Mark Fidrich and Ron LaFleur. And Ron LaFleur,
Yeah.
when we were kids, because he was discovered in a prison. And there was a movie starring LeVar Burton when we were kids.
That's right. And the
stealing-
drugs in the back of his pocket and all that business. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I really love those guys. And Fidrich to me always symbolized something like this innocent summer of 76. And,
Yeah.
you know, he's this guy and he's flaky and he talks to the ball and he looks kind of weird and
Yeah.
he's got this thick Boston accent. I just really love the bird. You know, I love guys like that. Love character. Dontrell Willis is the same to me. Like I love guys out of nowhere characters with something unique about them.
You know, the thing about Fidrich, which was a little bit of an anomaly that I'm sure I've known, but kind of looking at it today, and I spend many hours on baseballreference.com probably every day just because I'm a loser.
That's cool.
Fidrich had 250 innings that year, and I don't know if I'm sure you know this, and I don't know if you know it, Tony, 97 strikeouts. That's it. Yep. Didn't even have 100 strikeouts,
yep.
Which just goes to show that he was not he threw the weird pitches. He was a weird dude. Like he didn't throw a hard fastball.
But they all loved him over there.
In Detroit, absolutely, yeah.
He also they just left him in game after game. The guy was pitching I think he pitched back-to-back 10-inning extra inning games. Like they just beat that guy up, and it wasn't the same. It's just ice your arm, ice and beer, and you'll be ready to start in 5 days. So he didn't last very long.
And 25 years, and I saw that years later. I don't know if I saw he was being interviewed. Was it on a farm? And if it was in yeah. And he was just a quiet, humble guy. Yeah. Probably had not accumulated or kept that much money because there wasn't that much money in the game back then.
Right.
So he was just, and I believe he passed at a pretty young age. And it was just kind of a sad story. But this was, and he was on the cover of SI. Like he was a humongous star, but as fast as he came in is as fast as he went out.
He was on the cover of Rolling Stone also.
Rolling Stone, that's right. Yeah. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Listen, man, Jeff, I can't appreciate it enough. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we have. You have been a terrific guest. If you ever need somewhere to go bullshit on a Tuesday night, or if you're ever down on Long Island and you want to come to a comedy show on the Arm and you want to see me and Keegs and maybe even Tony, you can reach out to me anytime because you are an absolute joy tonight.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I just want to say I am married to a Long Island gal. So.
Is that true? I didn't know that.
She grew up in Five Towns, Hewlett, Woodmere.
Well, that's where I grew up. So I grew up in Valley Stream, Gibson, which is the next town over from Hewlett. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and she, I think sometimes she doesn't brag about it. I think she's a little, she moved to the city when she was in high school, and Long Island, where she grew up, is the land of the very lavish bar mitzvahs and weddings and over the top. And I think sometimes she feels a little gun shy about it. So
did she go to Lawrence High School or Hewlett High School?
She went to Hewlett High School.
Hewlett High School, yeah.
And I also did write for Newsday for a brief period of time. So I did make the drive from New Rochelle on the LIE to Amityville. So
Look at that. Well, I'm sure. What is she around your age? Graduated around 90 or
she
so?
graduated a year before me. So
89 like me?
high school
Okay.
in 89.
So she's actually a few years younger than someone who you definitely know very well, or I don't know if you know him personally, but you know of him, who's going to be on this show in a couple of months, is Ed Burns from Brothers McMullen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so one of my buddies, Rich Tedesco, is childhood best friends with Eddie, and Eddie's going to be coming on. He's got a new movie out, The Brothers McMullen, or Family McMullen right now. So Eddie's coming on, but she went to high school probably at the same time as Ed Burns, and he was a Hewlett High School guy also.
See, I thought you were going to pull out what every Long Islander pulls out from this era, and I know she didn't go there, but Debbie Gibson.
Well, so Debbie Gibson went to Calhoun High School in Merrick, which is actually, she graduated in 89 with me.
Oh, I thought she was 88.
Or maybe 88.
I think
maybe
she's 88.
Yeah. But I'm not going to tell you it on air just because it's too long and convoluted. But senior year of high school, I was involved in a very, very insane brawl in the basketball gym of Calhoun High School. That if it happened nowadays, it would have been all over the news, all over the country. It was winter of 1988-89 basketball, and a brawl broke out in the stands and between the two basketball teams and whatever. So that's my story about Calhoun High School.
And you punched Debbie Gibson in the face?
She punched me in the face, actually. That's
cool.
why I have this.
Was this you guys arguing over the Tiffany Debbie Gibson debate?
Yeah. Well, I kept on saying, I think you're alone now, and she was just not having it at all. So
she said, I see myself in your eyes.
That's right. That's right.
Oh my goodness,
Jeff, I appreciate it very much. I hope this exceeded your expectations. You were getting annoyed for a long time, and your friend Tony Ann Bleeker probably nudged it along. But I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did tonight.
Tony Ann said you guys are each going to pay me $10,000, and I thought, you know what? That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm in.
All right. Check your Venmo at 10:01. Okay, we'll be off the air by then.
Nice. No, it was fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Okay, brother. I wish you well always, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
All right.
Thanks, pal. Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Dude, what an awesome guest that was.
That was fantastic.
Right? We had so much
man.
fun in that. And the beauty for you and I, being that we're both at 53, 4, whatever, is that he is our age. He relates to everything that we love about sports. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about his Met book.
I know.
Obviously, the Bad Guys won, and there was so much stuff we could have. But when you have a guy like that who has lived the life that he has and reported and written the books, we could literally had him on for 5 hours, you know?
Well, two things come to mind. First off, like one of my favorite things about being here at the club, I love the comedians who go up there and you feel like you're just hanging out with a buddy and he's telling great stories.
Yeah.
That was the same here. He was just so down to earth.
Yeah.
You would think that we went to high school with him and we're just like reminiscing and stuff. He
absolutely.
was great. But then hats off to you because, in fact, I told you this earlier today, that, when you're doing sports, you're just completely in your element, and I personally just think those are your best interviews when you're doing sports, guys, and that I just thought you did a super job with that.
Well, I appreciate it, and in my day job, I deal with students, young students, and what I tell them, and I fully believe it, is that when you're doing something that you love, when you're studying something that you love, and when you can go to work doing something that you love, it makes it so much easier. So coming here to the studio and sitting with you and Mikey, and then getting a chance to talk to a guy like Jeff Pearlman is just like, for me, it's like taking candy from a baby. I mean, this is this is some sort of worth I have gotten out of focusing my life on sports for 45 years, Well,
so, I think that's, most of us that are in here, it's not like we're making money.
Yeah.
But we're getting to do, when we get to do things like that, and then, and I'm personally excited for Ed Burns. I'm really, as an actor, amazing. I'm really excited about that.
Listen, when it comes down to it, and I always say this, if we make a little money off the podcast or comedy, it's just like, it's gravy because we're not counting on that as our to pay our bills, whatever. And it's almost comical when you get paid to do something that you love so much. So this, to me, again, we've been doing this now with you for 3.5 years, and I love it. And certainly today was one of the highlights. We're going to run through all of our sponsors right now. We're not going to do it again in 5 minutes. So we have our fine friends over at Sophia Jewelry at 134 Gardeners Avenue right here in Levittown, specializing in diamonds and vintage jewelry. Go see Omid for all of your buying and selling of jewelry, and mention Hershey and the Keegs for a free appraisal. We have Dr. Kimberly O'Connor over at Platinum Chiropractic, and Dr. Kimberly O'Connor is fully dedicated to providing chiropractic solutions to address your unique needs. Whether you're experiencing back pain or neck pain, headaches or muscle tightness or tension, 516-935-3555 is the number to call right there in Hicksville, Dr. Kimberly O'Connor. We have Anthony Banfitch over at New View Construction, established in 2007. They are the people to call for the finest craftsmanship and all of your general contracting needs. Call 516-924-5627 and do it with confidence. Keith Dunn, he is the senior account manager over at American Restoration Solutions. When disaster strikes, and it will, they'll guide you to recovery. Call 516-662-9377 and ask for senior account manager Keith Dunn. We have my dear friend and yours as well, Sunray Services Eric Haft's company. Now is the best time to convert to hybrid heating and cooling. Call them today at 631-231-5533 or visit them online at www.sunrayservices.com. We have North Belmore Collision, our newest sponsor, our friend Ami over at 2734 North Jerusalem Road in North Belmore. 24/7, you can call Ami at 516-785-4862. We meet by accident, and we will work with all major insurance companies, free estimates as well. We have demolition specialist Scotty Advapsky, our good man there. 1-855-RIP-OUTS, the number you call for demolition, dumpsters, and fence rental. Family owned and operated for over 30 years. They're a fully licensed demolition contractor. And last but not least, the beautiful New York State licensed real estate person, Diane Keegan from All Island Estates Realty Corporation. You can call Diane directly at 516-458-1864 or email her at diane@allislandestates.com. If you're looking to rent, sell, or buy, make Diane your first call. Thank you to our sponsors. Just getting back to Jeff, something that he said, and I wonder if you feel the same, but he mentioned that he doesn't care about the fame, the clicks, all that stuff, and if you watch his videos enough, you kind of feel that way.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's not like a sales pitch, it's just like, this is the life I've led. I've sat in a locker room with Barry Bonds or with Derek Jeter or whatever, and he's just telling stories. It's story time.
Well, and if he was worried about stuff like that, he wouldn't have made the Kingman video.
Right.
So that's why I think it comes across. It really just I love his videos. It really comes across like you're just hanging out, listening to a guy tell some cool stories.
So, it's basically just like a guy that you're buddies with, he's our age, who just happened to live a life where he was able to write books about the most famous athletes in the world,
right?
Or in this case, a musician with Tupac. But he has vivid stories, and we just touched on a little tiny bit of them, but there's so many more of guys that he thought were the biggest pieces of shit, and then guys that he thought were angels on earth. So
another example of a great guest, because you have so much to talk about, but because he was so engaging, because he had great things to say, you don't have time for it all.
Yeah, which is like, I guess that's good. You don't want to be 15 minutes in and then be like, oh boy, I got nothing else to talk about.
I'd rather have a guy that doesn't shut up than it. I mean, I've had it where guys, you get one word answers, and then 15 minutes you're like, oh, shit, what the hell am I going to say now?
So it's funny. I feel like, and maybe we've been lucky and fortunate with the guests that we've gotten. Sometimes it's almost been the opposite, where we almost can't get a word in edgewise. Have you had that also, where you've interviewed people where you just throw the question out and then it's off to the races?
The band Chicago.
Yeah.
We're talking about the late 80s, Look Away, and so the guy that wrote and sang those songs, his name is Bill Champlin. He's been out of Chicago for, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years now, but he was with them for 30 years.
It was with the meat and potatoes of what they became famous about.
And in the 80s, when they had their 80s hits, he was the guy. We had him, and we were told 20 minutes tops. Okay, we're just happy to have him.
Yeah.
90 minutes later, I think if I didn't stop the show, I think I probably would have gotten yet another hour out of him. But he was just nonstop.
Were you getting some back and forth out of him, or was it just him just
a little bit of both?
Okay.
But it did go that long because he just was going on and on.
Yeah.
Which I love it.
That was a bit ago, though. When was that?
That was maybe 3-4 years ago, give or take. But
Okay.
that was the first person I thought of when you asked that question.
Yeah. So I don't know. I find that when we've had guests on who have gone on those rambles, if it's long as it's interesting content, but when they go on tangents and you really want to just like rein them in a little bit,
right.
And I'm not going to mention the name, but we had one guest at the beginning that was in studio, and we had just we don't need to mention, but we had just lost all control.
Right.
And I think part of it for me was that I was new at it and out of respect for the guest, I was a little bit gun shy to pull the brakes. But that was definitely maybe my least enjoyable episode that I've ever been part of.
Well, and believe me, from doing, and I do a show 5 days a week, so I've lost control many times.
Yeah.
And it sometimes if I feel it's not going that bad, even though it's lost control, but it might be entertaining. And plus, I'm sick of my voice after 5 days a week. So sometimes I don't mind a little losing control, and I'll sit back and let it go if I think it might be working.
Yeah. Your dynamic's a little different, and the way you do it, I don't think people realize. And please, if you guys are watching, every single day, Tony has Knock 'em Dead Comedy on. His show's a little bit different because almost every day there's a different co-host or co-hosts, which I give Tony a lot of respect. I don't know if I would be able to do that just because of my anal retention and how the way I am.
Oh, so talking about you and Keegan as far as anal?
Just like with the anal that we do, But I'm just saying, like, there's a dynamic that I am very comfortable with Mike sitting here, with you sitting there, and that's how I like it. The few times when we've had to veer off of that, I'm not in my comfort zone. So I give you mad props, the fact that you'll have Diane Fogarty on today, you'll have Rosie Girl on Friday, you'll have Greg Criticost, or you'll have Donnie Sill or whatever, and they're all great co-hosts, no doubt about it, but there is a different dynamic that you have between every single co-host.
Well, that's what I enjoy about it, because it's a different vibe each day, so you don't get bored, and it's a different dynamic, and they're all people that I love, so I can talk to them and have a good time with them.
And they're all terrific. I'm just curious though, would you be able to do a show 5 days a week if you didn't do that? If it was just you and Jimmy, or you and Pete, or you and Frank, or whatever?
I did that with Sally for 3 years. It was just me and her.
Right.
I mean, we had guests, but me and her were the co-hosts.
And would you say that what you have, the way you set it up now, is a little bit easier for you to produce every day?
Easier to no, because when I did it with Sally, at least I knew it was me and Sally every day, and I knew I'd have somebody to bounce off of.
Okay, gotcha.
Where now, like my Monday co-host, Jeff Skelsey, he came back this week. But he went back to work. He was out. That's why he was doing the show. I mean, he had some leukemia issues, so he was out from work for over a year.
Yeah.
But he just went back in October, so I didn't have him for October. He just came back this week, and now I only have him for a few weeks, and he's going back to work.
Okay.
But so there's that stress of coming in by myself, which is a totally different dynamic, and there's an energy that's missing when I'm sitting here by myself.
Yeah, man.
So that's tough.
I don't know if I'd be able to do that. I don't know if I'd forget about being able to do it. I don't know if I would want to do it. I don't know if I want to be totally by myself. So certainly no wonder why you like to go ahead and make sure that you have a line of guests. Right. But
well, kudos. I know we got to go, but just real quick, just kudos though to the people that watch it every day. And I have said at times, I really don't feel like doing this by myself. I think I'm going to skip the day, and they'll all reach out or comment during the show. So no, we want to see you.
Yeah, man. And
so it's really these guys that watch us all the time that really to me make the difference.
And I think that's an important point,
Right.
So, there might be weeks where we have a couple of thousand views and the Instagrams will take off, whatever. But there's also days where Tony might have 40 people watching or whatever the case may be. But there are people that are counting on Tony every single day to have that show, whether it's, your buddy in Florida or whatever.
John.
Yeah, John, and other people. So,
and not the, I hate, it's weird. There's a story that I don't want it to come across like I'm patting myself on the back.
Wow,
but
please. No, that's okay.
Excuse me. There's this guy, Andrew Fremder, who watches every day. He's been watching almost from the beginning. I've been doing the show for almost 8 years.
Yeah.
He posted something on Facebook. Now, me and him didn't know each other prior to the show.
Yeah.
He posted something on Facebook about depression, and he was suicidal.
This was recently or a while back?
This was 7-8 years ago.
Back in the day. Yeah, gotcha.
And he had a mutual friend who saw the post, because I think I don't know how the mutual friend saw the post.
Okay.
But she reached out to him, and she said, "Look, we don't know each other." She was, but if you're really kind of down, there's this show called the Knock 'em Dead Comedy Show. My friends, this is a girl I know, Danielle Asher. She said, go watch this show. Maybe they'll make you laugh a little bit. And they're very interactive. So if you want to interact with them, they'll read your comments.
No doubt.
And that's what he did. So he came in. He just came in 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And was telling the story. He started commenting on the show, getting a response out of us. We became friendly with him. He's been on, a few times. And then he even made a stand-up debut with us for the show we produced about a month ago.
Rosie was on that show with him, right? I believe so. Yeah.
No, that was a different night.
Oh, okay.
But he came in. But he said how really just from interacting with the show, it made him laugh a little bit, lifted his spirits, and he's not not suicidal anymore.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that. That's important.
That blows me away.
Yeah, man, that makes your everything worth it. Everything worth it. And well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being our guy here. We appreciate it. You know how me and Mikey feel about you. All right, enough kumbaya. Let's go ahead. As far as promotion wise, this is a little bit of a busy week for me. I'm going to be at the Brokerage Comedy Club on Thursday, 8:00 show.
Nice.
That's a reschedule from a show that I was supposed to be on November 6th at the Brokerage. So obviously, if you have tickets for that, they'll be okaying them for Thursday. For my friend Christina, who her animal rescue. The ticket sales are up to like 92 for that show on Thursday at the Brokerage. So if you don't have tickets yet, you want to go, please do that. And also, I'll be part of the show here in the Giggle Room on Saturday night, December 6th, this coming Saturday, that Tony and Don Sill are co-producing, basically a podcast show. So it's myself and Laura Patton and Kathy Arnold and Mikey and Rosie Girl and take it from there. Who else, Tone?
Steve Kaminsky. We have a show here called Steve Squared, so he's one of the hosts. Special guest Greg Kritikos. We also have Lou Pratz. We have young comedian Ali Kam, and we have a brand new comedian out of the city, Atmik Gupta is his name. He's very funny. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that.
I love that. Very good. All right, folks. We hope you enjoyed this show. As usual, go ahead and share it and like and subscribe and all that stuff. And we will see you back here next week. I'm not sure if Mikey might be on the road again.
Mikey
Tuesday, and that's okay because he's out there making us proud. And when he's going ahead and kicking ass doing stand-up comedy, he's spreading the good word of Herschy and the Keegs. And we hope you do the same thing.
See what we have.
Yeah, that's Herschy and the Walk. I love that. That's very cool.